I'll assume you all know about the deep web. Well, what you've heard is true. It's not a great place. While some people are there to score weed or firearms, or even out of sheer curiosity, others, well, they're obviously not up to anything good. But I'm not here to talk about those sickos. I'm here to talk about what lies beyond that point. The more cryptic and unexplainable parts of the internet. The parts that nobody is really supposed to see. There was an infographic that cropped up a while ago, not sure when. The 8 levels of the internet. Maybe you've seen it. Well, as interesting as it was, it's complete bunk. I'm sorry, but polymeric falsigol derivation means nothing. And the Primarch system, well, I guess someone's a fan of Warhammer. No, there's no quantum mechanics involved here. However, that doesn't mean it's an easy place to find. Now, I'm not going to begin to tell you how to get there. It's unlikely that you'd be able to, even if I did. I'm not tooting my own horn here. I just didn't have a life outside of this. I was warned, of course. Everyone told me I wasn't going to like what I saw, that I wouldn't even understand it. And now, I'm passing off that warning to you. Don't try to look for this. There's no official name for this place, or at least I haven't seen one. There were rumors, however. These ranged from an Illuminati chat room to a virtual holding cell for an experimental AI gone rogue. In reality, it's a lot worse. After a long and painful process of breaking down firewalls, encryptions, solving bizarre philosophical riddles, and following hidden links, I was finally directed to a blank page with one line of text and a text box underneath. Quid quaeris? Latin for, what do you seek? I remember feeling surprised, but in retrospect, I didn't know what I was expecting. I'll admit I was a bit stumped here, partly because I didn't know the answer to that question. I had no objective. I just wanted to see if I could do it. I tried some generic answers at first. I typed in the truth and enlightenment. You know, Matrix shit. Nothing happened. I tried a bunch of answers, but none of them worked. I was getting frustrated at this point. Maybe this was a gag page. Maybe I hadn't really figured anything out. Oh, if only. I tried something off the wall. Not sure how this came to me or why I thought it would work, but I typed in, what also seeks me. Now that I think about it, this thing might have been an AI. To my surprise, the page went blank. Like, fully blank. I waited. After about 5 minutes, I was directed to what looked like a forum. No, not even that. It was more basic, just a list of links over a brownish-yellow background. The links themselves were indecipherable, just seemingly random sequences of characters, symbols, and letters. A lot of them I'd never seen before. It almost looked like an alien language. Obviously, just a code I didn't understand. And at this point, expectations were off the wall. Each link was a shot in the dark. I clicked on the first one. It loaded up a live feed of what seemed to be the Paris catacombs. I watched for a while, but it was ultimately uneventful. I moved on to the next link. It was a shaky video in a dark setting, but I could make out men in tactical gear. They were in a house, opening doors and sweeping each room. Eventually, they kicked one down to reveal a creature. Tall, and humanoid, with scaly skin. It was gnawing on a dismembered arm. They tried shooting at it, but it escaped out of the window. The video stopped there. Well, I was floored. What the hell was this? It looked too real to be unreleased film footage, and I was officially intrigued. Maybe this was worth the months of headaches and bloodshot eyes after all. I couldn't stop now. I started working down the list of links. With each click, everything got more and more bizarre, more disturbing. I stumbled upon a document called The Paragon Project, detailing trials of human experimentation that would lead to superhuman levels of strength and durability. It was an apparent success. Looked official, too. There were essays on space-time anomalies, glitches in reality, and apparent pictures of alternate dimensions. There were detailed explanations regarding Area 51, the Bermuda Triangle, assassinations, disappearances, and the true nature of the Holy Grail. One of the more upsetting ones was a document referring to a world-ending bomb, a nuke that's 720,000 times stronger than the one dropped on Hiroshima. I don't know why we would need that. I found contingency plans for different kinds of apocalypses. Nuclear winter, biological weapons, viral outbreak. Some more peculiar ones were called the Marianas Trench Abnormality, the bluntly labeled Strange Man on the 15th Floor, and one simply referred to as Blackout. Recovered logs of skinwalker hunting expeditions, 911 transcripts from residents of a town in Texas that went missing in 1977, and even the journals that belonged to the people involved in the Dyatlov Pass incident. They didn't go insane because of the snow. I spent hours on there, looking through pages and pages of things I felt like I wasn't supposed to see. I came across a trailer to a silent film made back in 1910. One that apparently made people claw their eyes out after watching, that nearly derailed the whole industry. There was a live stream of a hooded man sitting in front of a camera, head crouched down. He eventually lifted his head. Even though he had no mouth, a deep, guttural "hello" came through my speakers. Somehow, I knew it came from him. I didn't stick around for that. There were obscure sets of step-by-step guides that involved things like cutting off your own limbs and sewing on corpses, performing religious incantations in the middle of the Siberian forest, and going to coordinates that apparently housed captive, fallen angels. It was unclear what any of these were supposed to achieve. There was also a 20-second long clip titled The Futility of the Living. I didn't watch it. That's when I realized there was no way even the highest form of organized government had full control of this. One of the scariest things about this whole experience was that I didn't find an end to the list, no matter how far I scrolled down. I think I had a meltdown and passed out eventually, because I woke up on my floor in the middle of the night. I looked at my computer screen to see looped helicopter footage of a massive, crab-like creature tearing apart a coastal island. I clicked off of it. I just sat there for the longest time. I couldn't comprehend what I was seeing, and I don't think I really wanted to. Now, I'm not really sure why I kept going. My brain was screaming for me to take my computer out to the lawn and smash it to pieces. But I didn't. I noticed something I hadn't before. A small message at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. I don't know if it was always there or not, It was hard to read, so I had to squint. More Latin. Translated into, "Are you satisfied?" There were two options underneath it. Yes and no. Now, I knew the answer to this question. Hell no, I wasn't satisfied. I was horrified, scarred for life. I should have clicked on yes. But if I just clicked on yes, it would have taken me out of that godforsaken place, back to comfort and sanity. Even right now, I can't tell you why I clicked on no. But once I did, the page seemed to refresh. It was still the basic same setup, except there were only 4 links. This time, there were no recognizable numbers or characters. Hell, it didn't look like anything that could have come from this world. Just a collection of extremely crude symbols that didn't give off any sense of pattern or direction. I clicked on the first link. After about 20 seconds, I slammed my computer shut. I can't describe to you what I saw. All I know is that I wasn't supposed to see it. Nobody should ever see something like this. It's not only that it didn't make any sense. I can't tell you why it didn't. I couldn't begin to grasp the images I was seeing. It wasn't graphic or anything, not like that. I just couldn't recognize anything. I could make out things moving, but not in a way that any creature on Earth has ever moved before. Colors that I'd never seen before. Oh, just thinking about it gives me a splitting headache. This is my best attempt at visualizing it. We have 3 dimensions here on Earth. We can move forwards, backwards, left, right, 72.4 degrees southwest, and so on. These things, though, weren't restricted to that. I can't explain it any further. All I know is that I didn't want to watch 1 more second. I don't think I would have been able to. I left my room. For the first time in a while, I was planning to leave my house. I needed fresh air, to take a walk or something. Hell, I was thinking about running a marathon in the middle of the night just to get my mind off that shit for a few hours. I was putting on my jacket when I heard a knock at the door. I stopped dead in my tracks. Obviously, I wasn't opening up. After about a minute, and 5 more sets of knocks, suddenly somebody spoke up. "Open up. We know what you did, but we're not here to hurt you. We just want to talk." The tone wasn't threatening, so eventually I obliged. I opened up my door to 2 tall, slim men in suits. They smiled at me. "Can we come in?" I still don't know how they found me. I thought for sure that I was off the grid. We sat down on the couch. I guess I was just waiting for answers at this point. One of them looked at me and said, "What were you looking for?" "I don't know, but I'm not going back," I responded. He smiled again, like this is what he wanted to hear. The other one piped up. "Who do you work for?" His tone was a bit more aggressive. I just shook my head. "Look, I didn't know what I was getting into. I was just looking for anything." They stared at me for a while. "I'm not going to tell anybody. Trust me." Finally, they responded. "Oh, we're not worried about that. Doubt anyone would believe you." Another smile. Somehow, it felt genuine. "We just wanted to know what your priorities were." In retrospect, that was a very strange question. "Just do us a favor and we'll leave. I perked up. Give us the device you used to access it. I didn't ask any questions. I ran upstairs and basically tossed them my laptop. They both smirked at me one last time before heading for the door. Just as they were about to leave, one of them turned back. I don't think you need to be told, but don't try this again. And don't show anybody else how to get there either. We'll know. I didn't ask who they were. I'm not sure I would have wanted to know. Well, it's been a week now. I don't go on the internet so much anymore. After this, I'm going to try and forget. To try not to think about it anymore. I've started having horrific nightmares. Been seeing a therapist for that, but I don't think it's helping. Anyways, I'm not going to let this consume the rest of my life. The thing is, I'm afraid that might not be possible. There are some things we aren't supposed to know about, probably for our own safety and sanity. Don't try and seek them out. It's better that way. However, it might be a bit too late for me. They say that curiosity killed the cat. It's funny. That almost feels like a personal attack at this point. I haven't forgotten about that night. I mean, it's not just something you can stop thinking about. What the hell was that last thing I saw? The strange thing is, it never even comes up in my nightmares. It's always the other stuff. I swear, I can see that dude with no mouth every time I close my eyes. But maybe it's not so weird. My brain couldn't comprehend it the first time, so how can my subconscious produce a recreation? Shit, I don't want to think about it anymore. But I can't stop. You see, my problems aren't just in my head anymore. I thought I was done with this shit after the men in black had paid me a visit. I thought it was over. In retrospect, that was just wishful thinking. No, it was delusional. After what I'd seen, well, I guess it doesn't work like that. I guess the world just isn't that simple. Here's what's been happening. Wednesday. It's been 3 days since I've gotten back to work, and I think I'm being followed. No, I'm sure I am. The thing is, the first time I didn't really notice. Whoever the hell they are, they've been using different vehicles. Always the same routine. After work, I get into my car and start driving home. Another vehicle always tails me until I turn into my driveway, and then they just drive past. Now, if it happens once, yeah, whatever. But 3 times. Under normal circumstances, I would call it a coincidence. But for obvious reasons, I can't do that right now. I'm not really sure what the hell they want. Maybe they're trying to monitor me. God, I hope that's all they're trying to do. If that's the case, I'll just lay low and ride it out. Just give them what they want. Thursday. This time, I try to get a glimpse of them in my rear view. The windows were tinted. Great. Again, I pulled into my driveway, and they kept going. Now, I know I said I was going to just ride it out, but this kind of shit really does take a toll on you. I don't want to deal with whatever the hell this is anymore. I swear they're following, closer and closer each time. Friday. I did something different today. Took public transit instead of driving. Oh, I've never needed a drink more in my life. So I went to a bar after work. I guess this was more of an experiment, to see how closely they've been tracking me. If they're bothered by the waiting, they can go fuck themselves. Yes, I'm still living my life. Although, I couldn't keep my eyes off the windows the whole time I was in there. After getting sufficiently wasted, I flagged a cab down. And, surprise, surprise, there they were, right behind us. But here's what I didn't expect. It was the same car from yesterday. Looks like they've given up the Incognito Act. Not sure how to feel about that. Damn it. Something else has changed. They didn't just keep driving this time. After the cab dropped me off, I turned around to see that damn car parked half a block away from my house. I just went inside. What the hell was I supposed to do? Calling the cops didn't even occur to me. But to be honest, I don't think that would have helped. It's been 3 hours now, and they're still here. I haven't been watching them the whole time, so I don't know whether or not they're actually in the car. God, not a fun thing to think about. Looks like there's no way in hell I'm sleeping tonight. It's about 2 a.m. now. I just got a text message. Private number. Here's what it said. Leave your house. Don't use the front door. They're still there. Come to the all-night diner about 5 blocks away. Don't think about driving. They'll know. Be quick. They're coming in soon. Don't get followed. Leave your lights on. I froze after reading this. They're coming in. For what? Who the hell's texting me? Now, I don't know what you would have done in this situation, but I took the warning. I was paranoid as hell at this point. Buzzed and tired, I put on a jacket and went out my back door. I also took a backpack with my other laptop in it. Not sure why, but I felt like I needed to. I waited for a second before I climbed my own fence. When I was sure nobody had noticed, I started heading towards the diner. After about 40 minutes, I finally got there. It would have been shorter, but I pretty much ducked into the bushes every time a car passed. I scanned the patrons. A table of drunk college kids, a few truckers, and a dude in a hoodie typing away on a computer in the back. He didn't look threatening. Actually, he was pretty scrawny. I made an educated guess. I walked up to his table and sat down. He looked up at me. Hi, what do you want? You texted me. There was a brief pause. I got worried for a second. Jeez, what if it's not him? But he broke the silence. Right. Did they follow you? No, I don't think so. He nodded. All right. And then he laughed. Like this was supposed to be funny. Man, you screwed up, didn't you? Hard to disagree with that. What were you doing anyways? What were you trying to find? Nothing. I swear. I just did it for the hell of it, I guess. He stared at me in amused disbelief. Oh, that's fucking lame. Would have been cool if you were a spy or something. He chuckled again. Look, who are you? How did you know they were after me? Who are they, anyways? I pelted him with questions. All right, settle down there. I'm not gonna tell you who they are. I don't know either. But I will tell you, they don't have good intentions. Good, fantastic, I thought. Well, how do you know about them? He paused. They came after me. 1 second I'm reading about demons on the moon. The next, I'm getting my door kicked down. This was months ago, so I skipped town. I was confused. Wait, what do you mean? They tried to kill me, dude. I couldn't believe this. And you were just viewing the links. That was it. You teach other people how to get there or something. He raised his eyebrow. No, why do you ask? I was floored. They didn't do that to me, I said. They just came by, took my laptop and gave me a warning. Now it was his turn to look shocked. Really? He seemed to think about something for a while. He then proceeded to ask me what they looked like. Just men in suits, I responded. What did they ask you? Was his follow-up question. Again, I just told him. But then I remembered the last thing they said to me. Oh, yeah. They also asked me what my priorities were. Weird-ass question. His face went blank for a second. Yeah, strange, ain't it? What followed was an uncomfortable silence. I finally asked him the thing that had been on my mind ever since that night. That page with just the 4 links. What the hell is that supposed to be? He raised his eyebrow and told me he didn't know what I was talking about. This is where things got strange. After I told him a rough explanation of what I'd seen, his expression changed completely. I could make out a sudden flare in his demeanor. What did you type in the prompt? He asked me. What also seeks me? I answered. I was thoroughly confused at this point. Isn't that what you did as well? He just shook his head. No. He then shut his laptop and stood up. Well, where the hell are you going? I inquired. We've been here too long. Look, I know you have questions, but I can't answer them for you. Go to a motel tonight or something. And just like that, he was gone. What was I going to do? Stop him? I still have no idea who the hell this guy is. The only thing I got out of him was his name, Jackson, and even that's probably fake. Tired as hell and still a little bit drunk, I left the diner and tried to stay hidden as I looked for a nearby motel. Obviously, this wasn't fun. Now, here I am, sitting in some sketchy motel at 4:30 a.m. I can barely keep my eyes open, but I also can't help but look over my shoulder every second I'm awake. This is the pinnacle of shitty situations. I guess I'll try and get some sleep. Nothing else I can do. I'll figure it out in the morning. Saturday. Well, I guess it's been Saturday for a while, actually. It's 8 a.m. now. Barely got any sleep. I have this creeping, ominous feeling in my gut that something just isn't right. I turned on the TV. Anything to clear my mind for a bit. What I saw next did the exact opposite of that. It was a news report. A man strangled to death in a KFC bathroom. But the person who'd been murdered was one of the guys that came to my house and took my computer that night. No suspects. I just stared at the screen for the longest time. What the hell was going on? My phone suddenly buzzed. A different message from a private number. This is what it said. Go to the swimming pool on 5th Street. In the men's locker room, go to locker 128. The combination is 12, 27, 33. Further instructions are in there. Do so before this text gets intercepted. Don't bring your phone. Of course, how stupid was I? My phone was still on me. Surely whoever was after me would have been able to track me. This had never even crossed my mind. Out of curiosity, I peeked outside my window. Sure enough, the car that's been following me was now parked right there. Luckily for me, I caught my first glimpse of the driver and the passenger getting out. They were both wearing gloves, and one was holding a briefcase. They're walking towards the entrance now. After I've mailed this to myself and a friend, I'm going to need to think quick. I've already dropped my phone in the toilet, and I'm going to need to get rid of this laptop next. But people need to know what has happened. If you hear from me again, it looks like I found a way out of this. What a goddamn shit show this has been. I'm currently on a plane headed to Scottsdale, Arizona. I haven't actually been out of state in 6 years. I thought I would eventually, didn't expect it to be under these circumstances. Anyways, let me back up a bit first. This is what happened. Right after I disposed of the laptop, I heard my lock being tampered with. Somebody was trying to pick it. Now, I've never been great under pressure, so you could imagine how I was feeling. But the human mind is an interesting thing. When you think you're at the end of the line, your will to live really ramps up. The balcony, I thought. Only way out of this. Without hesitation, I ran out and climbed over it. Fortunately, I was on the second floor, so I didn't break my legs. Now came a decision. Run or hide. Neither seemed too promising. Shit, I thought. I was panicking. That's when I spotted Salvation, a cab parked on the other side of the lot. I bolted for it. I tapped on the window, startling the driver. "Mr. Horvat?" he asked. Well, no, it wasn't, but I nodded anyways. "You said 8:40, didn't you?" He looked at me in confusion. "Finished early. Let's go." There was anxiousness in my voice, but I tried to hide it. Last thing I needed was for this guy to think I was a lunatic and drive off. I got in, told him the address, and we got out of there. As we left the lot, I looked back. The two men I saw coming out of the car were now on the balcony where I had just been. I could tell that there was a dead stare directed right at me behind their sunglasses. Despite all this, relief washed over me. It was short-lived, though. I relayed the message I got in my head. Do so before this text gets intercepted. That meant I was still on the clock. If they didn't know where I was headed yet, they soon would. We finally got to the place about 15 minutes later. As soon as I got in, I rushed into the locker room. It was mostly empty. I kept repeating the combination in my head. This was the only thing I had. I didn't really care about getting answers before, but it seemed like I had no choice now. I finally found the locker. Don't know why this guy chose such a massive place. 12 left, 27 right, 33 left. I swung it open. Sitting there was an older BlackBerry model and an envelope. I opened it up to find a plane ticket, $2,000 in cash, and a sticky note. In horrific penmanship, the words, "Check phone. Password, snake tracks," were scrawled across it. I obliged and booted up the ancient device. I remember being slightly amused. I'd always begged my parents for one of these when I was a kid. This was a far cry from then. I took a quick look through the phone. It was mostly blank. No apps downloaded, no pictures, nothing. There was only one contact, bluntly named, "Call me." So I did. After just one ring, a voice answered. There was a sense of tentativeness in his tone. Somehow, it sounded familiar. "Who is this?" Well, how the hell was I supposed to answer this? Should I say my name? "I got your message," I finally responded. There was a brief pause. His response caught me off guard. "What's your religious affiliation?" His tone had gotten a lot more aggressive. Why the hell was he asking me this? I thought. I didn't have enough energy to question him, though. Raised Protestant, but now agnostic, I guess, was my answer. He seemed to breathe a quick sigh of relief. Then he cut the line. Well, shit. Is this guy nuts or something? My thoughts were interrupted as I got a message. He'd sent me an address and a room number. "Meet me" was the only other thing he'd typed. I looked at it for a second before coming to my senses. Jeez, I'm an idiot. I should have just taken the stuff and bolted. I heard the door to the locker room swing open. Then footsteps coming towards where I was. Sprinting, actually. I flipped shit. I shoved the stuff into my pockets and started looking for a way out. Again, there was really only one option here. I started making a break for the pool entrance. As I ran, fucking gunshots started ringing out behind me. I could tell they were using silencers, but boy, that doesn't do a whole lot when you're only 40 feet away. I suddenly felt a sharp pain in my side. I saw a bullet penetrate a locker right up ahead. God, that didn't miss by much. I ran faster than I thought I was ever able of doing. I almost slipped into the damn pool as I stumbled out. The lifeguard shouted at me as I burst out the emergency exit. I couldn't stop there. I hurried along, making turns every minute, looking over my shoulder the whole time. It's a good thing I was downtown. I blended into the sea of people easily. At one point I saw a pair of policemen. I considered telling them. I really did. But what's that going to do? They'll search for those two guys, turn up with nothing, monitor my house for a couple of days, and then call everything off. It wasn't going to solve anything. I finally ducked into a hair salon. I couldn't run anymore. The barber just looked at me like I was insane. Screw it, I thought. Might as well make myself less recognizable while I'm here. I got him to shave it all off. I spent the rest of the day making various purchases. A used laptop, a new set of clothes, some bandages, and a pair of shades. Well, at least something good came out of this. The flight was supposed to be in a couple of hours at this point. I called a cab and made my way there. And that's where I am now. I've got a long trip ahead of me still. Let's see what happens next. As I made my way out to the airport, I recoiled at the heat. God, it's November. How does anyone live here during the summer? I called another cab. Got to the address. It was a Holiday Inn. I laughed to myself. Gee, how ominous, I thought. I made my way up to the room and knocked on the door. A billion thoughts were running through my head. What if this was a trap? I actually thought about just running away for a second, but I realized that wouldn't accomplish shit. After about a minute, the door opened. A wave of surprise washed over me. But, well, in retrospect, this is exactly who I should have been expecting. It was the other guy that came to my house that night. The one that didn't get strangled. He didn't look great, though. He had a black eye and a busted lip, and just looked tired in general. He looked me over before gesturing me in. He had a slight limp as he walked. Nice haircut, he muttered softly. He sat down on the bed, and I sat on the couch across from him. There was a long silence. The whole time he just stared at the ground. To be honest, I didn't know what to say, so I said nothing. He finally spoke up. Might as well let you know what's going on. He then proceeded to let it all out. About 4 years ago, there was an incident in the Paris catacombs. I got the chills after hearing this. 4 teenagers decided it would be a good idea to wander off during a tour. I guess they got lost or something, because they weren't there at the end. The police pretty much swept everywhere. No sign of them. Eventually, the government decided to set up infrared cameras all around the place, just to see what would turn up. One day, one of the cameras picked up movement. Nobody anticipated what they were going to see next. It was hell manifested. An abomination of writhing limbs somehow stuck together, squirming across the screen. There were 4 human heads stuck to the top of this thing. You can guess who they were. I was beyond speechless. I thought about that video of the catacombs. Glad I didn't stick around for the grand reveal. He continued. They decided to send elite forces down there to exterminate it. Apparently it took out 12 men before they could put it down. Now, the question was, what were they going to do with the video? They couldn't just get rid of it, but they didn't want anyone to see it either. And this was around the time the whole Snowden thing was going on, so they didn't feel comfortable just using government servers. So, this is where that website you saw comes into play. They got the most seasoned technical experts they had to bury it somewhere deep in the internet. And I'm talking about as deep as they could go. Nobody was supposed to know about it. Nobody was supposed to find it. And nobody was even supposed to know what to look for. I racked my brain over this. Sure, I knew my way around. But there was no way in hell that I was on par with government experts. So, how did I find it? He continued. It worked well for a while. They made a pact with governments worldwide. Anything they deemed unfit for public knowledge went on that site. There were even precautions. For every real thing on there, they posted 4 fake ones. For the select few that actually managed to find it. Wait, what? I couldn't believe this. He just chuckled. Yeah, most of that stuff you saw was bullshit. Most. The videos are harder to fake. I didn't know how to feel about this. I was slightly relieved, I guess. Well, just slightly. He kept on. The logic behind this was that once people found these things, they'd look further into them. However, since they were fabricated, nothing would come up and the page would be disregarded. Just a gag site. At least, that was the idea. I knew where he was getting at. What about the people that started looking into the real things? He sighed. Look, nobody would have given a shit if they'd started spouting it off to their friends or on the internet. People would think they're crazy. It's those damn people that have to just go and find proof. The ones that plan to publicize it. Yeah.